Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's Insights and Innovations. Today, Sam and Beck are in Can, so it will be me who does the intro. But if you do have staff attending Cans, please make sure that you go up and say hi to Sam and Beck. I'm sure they'll love it. For today's session, we do have Paramount, and we do have the National Sales Director, Ian Smith, being introduced. So I will hand over to Ian so he can lead the way.
Oh, thank you, Tiani. That's great. Doing a great job while Sam's obviously having pina coladas up in Cairns. So unfortunately, we're not there, but we're very fortunate enough to have the opportunity to present to you guys today. So thanks for attending, and we hope you enjoy the content we've got. So this is the House of Paramount. Look, today we've got Gareth Tomlin, who's our head of research, and Emma Jones, who works in our brand studio team, helping present three key pillars of what we believe is helping form a successful client campaign. The first key part we'll look at is understanding the science of sponsorship. Now, there's been years and years of research that has gone into our understanding of sponsorship. Now, this is not just looking at Paramount exclusively. This is basically how you can talk to your clients about ways to unlock the best outcomes for sponsorships. And then we'll look more into our digital innovations, so our digital capabilities, which have been evolving constantly, and we have more to come later in the year. And then looking at building deeper partnerships. Now, this is probably the big one for us, and what our USP is versus our competitors is the capabilities of looking into licensing across all of our Paramount products. And not just that, also looking at activations. So anything from our Paw Patrols to Paramount Plus and other things like that. So a lot to talk about. I won't rattle on too much. Before we kick off, I just want to make an acknowledgement of country. So we acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. We pay our respects to the elders past and present, for they hold the memories, the traditions, and the cultures and the hopes of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people across Australia. So I'll pass on to Gareth, who will look into the science of sponsorship.
Cool, thank you, Smithy. So this research, as Smithy touched on, is the result of 4 years of independent research we've conducted with the Marketing Scientist Group, a very smart man named Peter Hammer. He's ex-Erindale Bass. And what we did was start by looking in 2019 at the role of program engagement, or how liked programs can boost ad effectiveness. In 2020, we explored the role of fandom. I believe I presented to the IMAA that research, and now we've come back with a new addition to the science of sponsorship, looking at the power of attention and the impact on mental availability for brands. And what we found over these 4 years of research is that the reason why sponsorships on TV and BVOD work is because of the layer effect. And there are 4 layers in the layer effect. The first is creating the opportunity to see, putting a brand's message in front of an audience, which captures attention, which builds memory structure, and then most importantly, drives action. And all of that is underpinned by the vast scale and reach of TV and BVOD, delivering these messages to the right audience. So in the next 20 minutes or so, I'll be taking you through each step of the layer effect. But before we do that, I'll just talk about the methodology and the approach that we took for this particular part of the science of sponsorship research. In this experiment, basically we surveyed 2,200 Australians aged 18 to 69. This time we tested 4 key programs: Australian Survivor, Have You Been Paying Attention, the A-League and MasterChef Australia, but our previous research had looked at programs on other networks too. We created 64 different clips for viewers to watch that would have a mix of sometimes sponsorship elements like billboards or integrated content, and other times not. So we had controls, so we could kind of see the individual and combined effect of different parts of sponsorships. We did that across 8 different brands, and we did it using also eye gaze tracking, so we could measure people's active attention to the screen. So that little example there, you can kind of see the heat map on that particular billboard where viewers' eyes were. Not necessarily to prove that people pay attention to TV and BVOD, that work's been done pretty well by Think TV, but to explore attention to different creative elements to see if that has an impact on attention. As I said, those 64 clips were very tightly curated. We made sure that we could look at the individual and combined impact of TVCs, of billboards, and of integrated content. I'll use a word today, bespoke TVC, just to explain what that is. That's a TVC that's been made using either program talent or program footage. Obviously, you know what billboards are, but there can also be integrated billboards that link directly to the program, and obviously integrated content where a brand features within a program. So what we're looking at is the impact of all of those separately and combined. And this comes in addition to 6 years of additional studies we've done also independently with our research partner, Identify. So after a big program like Survivor or MasterChef, we'll do brand lift studies for all of the different brands. And over the last 6 years, we've surveyed 55,000 Australians across 250 different brands. So that's given us a good realm of data to understand how sponsorships do work. The first layer of the layer effect is about creating the opportunity to see. And this is a slide I've been trying to make for about 4 years, where what we found is when we're looking at the baseline metric of unprompted awareness, making a brand famous in terms of viewers' eyes, the more elements added to a sponsorship, the higher the lifts in top of mind and unprompted brand recall. So if we start with a standard TVC as our baseline, you can see the inclusion of sponsorship elements like turning that into a bespoke TVC, adding billboards, adding integrations, and finally leading to what we call a fully integrated sponsorship with all of those different elements, can first and foremost lift top of mind ad recall or top of mind brand recall by almost 300%. So that's the first thing a sponsorship does. It makes a brand famous, and there is an incremental value of adding more elements to a sponsorship. And when we're talking about the assets that help create this opportunity to see and make a brand famous, I like to think of these as the rice in the curry of a sponsorship. They're the things that they're not maybe as sexy and as fun and creative as an integration, but they're a really important part of why sponsorships work. We're talking billboards, playouts, which occur right, first in break after a program segment. Program IDs, where like the Coles logo will swivel and turn into the MasterChef logo or vice versa, and extending the campaign on BVOD to create more opportunity to see. So these are the foundation elements of a sponsorship. And what we found, and quite interesting in this study, I think, was the power of variety. So when we're looking at clients who had just a combo billboard, like a shared billboard or just one billboard, they saw good lifts in brand recall. But it was clients who had a variety of different billboard assets. So they might have had a billboard, a playout, and a program ID. They're the ones who saw the largest lifts in brand recall. And that is because more time on screen, more opportunity to see, creates more attention seconds. And one way to unlock more attention seconds with a brand, so people paying attention to your brand's message, is to put that brand in the other 22 minutes of every half hour of programming, which is the program itself. So in this example, we looked at the amount of attention people paid to different brands who were in red in the ad break or in blue in the program itself with integration. And you can see there how it's kind of only the inclusion of the brand within program content that can build attention seconds beyond a certain point. A good example here is Medibank. They had a sponsorship of Have You Been Paying Attention? The yellow boxes here are their top of mind ad recall. And you can see there, if people were exposed to the ads, there was a lift in ad recall, as you'd expect. It got up to about 20%. But it was the inclusion of Medibank in the program, the blue attention seconds that have been built up. Tom Gleisner talking about Medibank, someone making a joke about Medibank, big Medibank logo in the background, lots of attention to Medibank. That supercharged the top of mind ad recall and almost doubled it. Another key part of sponsorships is that allow for more brand mentions. So if you have a TVC campaign, you can be in multiple ad breaks. Yes, you can get your brand mentioned a few times. But what we found is, and this is not necessarily an earth-shattering finding, but it's an important one to talk about, which is that the more viewers in our experiment were exposed to more brand mentions, higher lifts in top-of-mind brand awareness. The reason why that's relevant to sponsorships is because sponsorships is one of the few ways to unlock multiple brand mentions. You can have, obviously, TVCs, you can get billboards, you can get integrations, you can own that share of voice within the hour of a program. And it does pay off. The more times a brand is mentioned, the higher the lifts in brand awareness. And it speaks to a really important point about variety an important point that we're going to call out throughout this presentation of value tips. We understand sponsorships are expensive investments for brands. They're often a big chunk of a brand's advertising by quarter, and I'm sure a lot for your clients in particular. It's a big decision to do an integration or a sponsorship. So throughout the pres, I'll give you little value tips. I was told I would get photoshopped onto the Paramount film Top Gun, but they picked the Paramount film Forrest Gump. So I'll give you little guides throughout. The first of those guides, just as life is like a box of chocolates, it's good to have variety. A variety of assets is just as important, if not more important in some ways, than a volume of spots. So you could retain a similar level of investment, but split it out across a variety of different sponsorship elements to get more bang for your buck. Another way to create opportunity to see is to create it on multiple platforms. And this underscores, and we'll talk about this a little bit, the importance of BVOD, the importance of extending a campaign onto BVOD. It produces lifts in recall and lifts in purchase intent than a TV-only campaign can. It just unlocks more incremental reach. We can prove this every week now with the VOZ data set. One thing we're proud of at Paramount is the amount of returning sponsors we have. MasterChef and Coles, Mitsubishi, and have been paying attention. And what we see is that returning sponsors build on the results and see better results than first-time sponsors do. They see higher lifts in recall and higher lifts in purchase intent. This is kind of the proof point of something I'll talk to later, which is about the impact of building memory structure among viewers. So one point here is that when you are looking for more value in a sponsorship, sometimes it's about redoing the sponsorship next year. Clients have invested, hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars in sponsorships. It's often very tempting for new CMOs or new marketing leads to throw out what has been done and start afresh. But it's about considering nuance over novelty, that returning sponsors do gain cumulative value from returning year after year. They can take advantage of the memory structures that have been built in a prior year and start to tell a different story about their brand. It's a really powerful thing to return as a sponsor. The second layer in the layer effect is about capturing attention. And the best way to capture attention and to build attention seconds is with an integrated content. So featuring within the program itself. When we compare integrations to billboards, and not saying that billboards don't work, because billboards in this example, they do live top of mind awareness by double digits, by 10%. But an integration, which is now minutes of brand exposure within a program, lifts top of mind awareness by more. That's just down to really the amount of attention seconds being exposed. What's interesting though about integrations is this last increase about enhancing the opinion of a brand. So one additional benefit, a secondary benefit of sponsorships, is that they can allow a brand of a program, sometimes a very premium program such as MasterChef, to rub off onto the brand. So if you think of a brand like Cobram Olive Oil, they had sponsored MasterChef. They had moments where some of the world's best chefs like Gordon Ramsay were literally holding a Cobram Olive Oil bottle, cooking with it. That's kind of, that's a money can't buy exposure that really strengthens a brand and rubs off. So it's another way, another part of the value of sponsorships is that additional kind of halo you get from being in a premium program. When we're talking about capturing attention, we're obviously talking about in-program integration, whether that's incidental or overt, but also the use of brand ambassador or program talent, and those bespoke TVCs that employ program talent or content. And one really, probably the most important finding we found in the latest study is the power of assets working together. So what we found was that if someone was exposed to a bespoke TVC for a brand in our experiment, so they've seen a bespoke TVC, and then we show them some program content that includes an integration. If you'd been exposed to the TVC, you are more than double-digit more likely to notice the subsequent integration. So the example there, the pharmaceutical, so Tylenol, they had a bespoke TVC. If you'd seen that, you were 12% more likely to notice Tylenol's subsequent integration. So what you see in the ad break primes you to pay more attention within the program itself. And this works the other way too. So with our eye tracking technology, we were able to see how many people have gazed at this KFC bucket in a Survivor integration. So in the first example, 94% of people gazed at that KFC bucket. I don't know what the other 6% were looking at because it's bang on in the middle of the screen. In the smaller example where it's just on the podium in the bottom right, about a third of people had looked at the KFC bucket. So all I'm saying right now is that in our experiment, we had a group of people, 82% of people, who had gazed at the KFC bucket within the Survivor program. We then go on to the ad break. And if you had been exposed to the KFC bucket and gazed at it, you were more likely to pay attention to KFC's billboard, KFC's TVC, and indeed KFC's TVC featuring a bucket than those who hadn't. So what this means is that the program has primed you to pay attention to the ad break. You're more likely to notice KFC's ads because you've seen KFC quite overtly in Survivor. And it leads to a really key point about the importance of scheduling. So when you do an integration with Paramount Brand Studio, we'll take care of this for you because we're the best in the biz. But it's something to keep in mind when you are doing integrations. They often involve creative teams, trading teams, networks. It's being all on the same page about when your brand is in the program, following that up with additional, sponsorship elements. So you're in the program content, following that up with a first in break ad or a billboard. It's these little things that can unlock a lot more value inside a sponsorship. And one way to unlock more attention is to do so in quality programs. So obviously all of our programs are quality, but what we found is that programs that had higher levels of fandom, so more people who say that they will never miss an episode of a program, those people are more likely to recall ads and like ads. And this is a core finding of our first few studies. So if you think about how you watch an episode, if you're a fan of Survivor, how you watch an episode of Survivor versus say a US drama on at 9:30 at night, you watch Survivor a lot more intently. You do pay more attention to the program segments, and then that leads into more attention within the break. Another way to drive attention is to put your brand in programs that have strong positive emotions. So one thing we found in our prior studies was that if we expose someone to a clip that they then described as having strong positive emotions, so say a reveal in The Masked Singer or a heartwarming moment in MasterChef, or a hilarious moment in Have You Been Paying Attention, even the auction in the block, really high positive emotion moments. If you saw a clip that had strong positive emotions, you paid more attention to the clip and more attention to the advertising that surrounded that clip. And this has probably been a reason why sponsorships in the past have always worked. We do see that. We genuinely see that in our brand studies that we do as a result of sponsorships, and hopefully you guys have seen it with your clients. But one reason why is because often sponsorships are in the programs on TV that have strong positive emotions. The big 7:30 reality shows or comedies often have these emotions, which drives more attention and leads to better outcomes. The third layer in the layer effect is about building memory structure. So when I talk about memory structures, I'm talking about the mental availability of a brand. So I'm in the sauce aisle at Woolworths and I'm thinking of Heinz ketchup. I'm also talking about the fame of distinctive brand assets. So these are things beyond a brand name that are associated with the brand. So the Coles Red, Curtis Stone is a brand asset for Coles. The Macca's jingle, all of these things that aren't necessarily the name of the brand, but associated with it. And then agreement with key campaign messaging, so that a brand is environmentally friendly, or a brand is good value, a kind of a secondary message of an advertising campaign. And sponsorships are a really effective way at building these memory structures. A good example here, when we expose people to an integration for a brand, say this example from Isuzu, they wanted to say that they supported community organizations. So they did an integration in the A-League Grand Final where they literally supported a community organization on screen. They almost gave them a novelty check, I think. And if you were exposed to that, you were 80% more likely to say that Isuzu supports community organizations. So again, advertising works, attention is built and changes memory structures. But the point here isn't that viewers pick up on messages, it's that integrations are like loaded guns that you can point at different campaign messages or different things to change people's perception of a brand. So it underscores the importance of the creativity or the creative of those integrations. They can actually change people's opinion of your brand. So you have to be very careful about what you're saying within them to make sure it's consistent with the rest of your marketing. So another example here is that what we find is that sponsorships are a great way to build campaign message agreement compared to standard TVCs. So what basically this is saying is that if someone has been exposed to billboards or a bespoke TVC or an integration, they've been exposed to all of those things, they're 28% more likely to agree with the key campaign messages of a particular campaign. What was interesting is that if you're exposed to a standard TVC, you are less likely to agree to these campaign messaging. And that's probably for two reasons. One, standard TVC can be 15, 30 seconds, doesn't really give you much chance to tell many messages, can't really tell much of a story in just 30 seconds. And often that story is different. It's about telling you the name of the brand, that it's great, that it's on sale, very basic messaging. Sponsorships allow you to tell a much deeper story and really change people's perceptions of your brand, to tell a story that is a bit different to what you're saying in other campaigns. And it underscores that attention to detail is really important. And the creative choices made as part of sponsorships do have a big impact. In this case, Coles wanted to change their association with high quality fresh produce. And if you're exposed to the Coles standard TVC or the billboard, you're about 9% more likely to agree to that. But it was being exposed to the bespoke TVC or the integration that literally featured Curtis Stone handling high quality fresh produce that really turbocharged people's agreement with that statement. So again, it's a creative choice to put Curtis in there. It's a creative choice to have him handling the fresh produce, but it does have an effect on memory structure. And it's a key point that incidentals are not incidental. These small creative choices, these somewhat, background footage, small elements of a sponsorship do have a direct impact on memory structure. The last layer of the layer effect is about driving action. And the key thing that sponsorships do is increase purchase intent for brands. They do drive action. They allow you to firstly make your brand famous, tell a story about your brand, but most importantly, convince people to go buy your product. So when we look at the purchase funnel, from awareness down to consideration, down to purchase intent, a fully integrated sponsorship can lift purchase intent by about 23%. What a cool build that was. We now have sponsorship elements too that can link someone directly to a purchase. So Emma might touch on some of these a bit later on, but we have premium digital ad units like Smart Snap, which can show a QR code, dynamic video, which can show a different creative and a different brand message depending on data inputs. And also assets like Premium Pause, which can show a QR code full screen on the biggest screen in the house when people hit pause on CTV. So not only can you build the awareness and the reach, you can also drive people to purchase in sponsorships these days. And it's where I get off my Forrest Gump bench and get onto my high horse and talk about the power of TV and BVOD to do this. And I think this is a really key point, is that other advertising mediums can drive reach. Radio has good reach, but radio has no visual branding. Cinema, amazing attention, big screens, but no reach and no frequency compared to TV. Social video, scrollable video like YouTube and TikTok, they do have great reach. They have high time spent, but they have low amounts of attention seconds with advertising. They don't have 3 minutes of integration being watched by 1 million people every single week to tell a story about a brand. TV and BVOD are genuinely unique in capturing attention and driving this action at scale, which leads us to the foundation of the science of sponsorship, which is delivering this all at scale to the right audience. So if you look at MasterChef last season, it reached half the country. It reached 13.5 million people watch MasterChef at some point. It almost reached 1.6 million people on BVOD, and up to 15% of that campaign reach actually came from BVOD. So BVOD's a really important part of sponsorships in the year 2023. You really can't get that scale and that reach without that additional incremental audience on BVOD. But it underscores the reason why sponsorships work is because so many people are seeing these campaign messages all at once in the same week, the same month, They're hearing about the brand, they're being told the story about a brand, and that's creating a cumulative impact. In indeed many cases, changing culture of Australia and the brand messages because of the reach. So that is the layer effect. Firstly, creating the opportunity to see, capturing attention, building memory structures, and driving action, and all of it underpinned by the vast scale and reach of TV and BVOD. So there's a lot of slides I left off in today's version. So if you do have any questions about sponsorships, or you are trying to talk to a client about a particular sponsorship element that you think makes sense for them, get in touch with the team, and we can pull out lots of slides. We have a lot of research into sponsorships that we can help you with. That's me. I'll throw to Emma.
Awesome. Thanks, JT. Yeah, just to reiterate what Gareth just said as well. So I have two sections that I'll be taking you through. So first up is around leveraging digital innovation. This section is obviously very data and innovation heavy. So we totally appreciate that you might have some questions. So if you do, please feel free to reach out after the preso, and we're more than happy to take you through in more detail. So first up, our data and product is really designed to ensure that advertisers can extract maximum value from any activity that they run with Paramount. So in order to do this, we've built out these 4 key principles which address marketer needs and underpin our approach to brief responses. So it's kind of like our gold standard, if you will. So these principles are connected experiences, which is all about integrated data and ad experience with delivery methods that really suit your needs. So this is very much our USP in market. The second is being customer centric, so agility to align with your current state and needs to kind of plug and play your way, and it accounts for the vast array of advertising infrastructure in market. Proof of performance is all about actionable insights anchored in your marketing and business outcomes. So unlocking ways for you to continually evolve your approach as you work with us. And then scalable solutions. So we really want to maximize the value you extract by ensuring that all solutions are completely scalable. So starting with the objective rather than the data and products that we can offer. So how we do this, how we drive outcomes for our partners, we're really intent on delivering full funnel solutions. So not only can we deliver on top of funnel outcomes, but we can also deliver on your mid and lower funnel objectives too. So the way we do this is by leveraging our high quality data sets and our suite of premium ad experiences, which can be then coupled together. So that really makes it a unique kind of data informed ad experience. And then using this premium data, we can target addressable audiences at scale to reach the most relevant audience based on known profiles and behaviours. So this suite of premium ad experiences gives us the ability to either deliver on a single-minded objective or else deliver on multiple objectives within the one buy. And this allows consumers to engage on their own terms, regardless of where they are in that consumer journey. And so we can then provide, sorry, Gareth. And then we can provide proof of performance. So this is about really actionable measurement solutions that allow you to fully understand what did and didn't resonate with that audience to ensure that we are continually evolving the ways in which we work. Okay, we jump to the next slide. Awesome. So the way that we deliver these outcomes is all through our unified data ecosystem. So starting on the left, put really simply, we have a lot of data. So we have 6.5 million first-party IDs, which combined with our data partnerships with Smarter, Flybuys and Samba TV, gives us access to 37 million deterministic and declared data points. So an absolute wealth of information that we can use to be really granular or really broad in how we are targeting our viewers. This combined with our tech stack, which is very much future-proofed, really allows us to make this first-party data and second-party data available in a privacy-compliant manner, which is obviously really, really important in allowing us to collaborate with advertisers and for you guys to feel safe that that customer data that is so valuable to every advertiser is being used in a privacy-compliant way. So importantly, though, what does this mean for you guys? So sorry, go the next one. What does this mean for you guys? So I'll go through our data and ad product strategy in action. So first up is our partnership with Samba TV. So we essentially can activate Samba segments based on viewing behavior at the glass level on our premium CTV devices. And the reason that this is important is that TV audiences are becoming increasingly fragmented, as we all know. So it's becoming harder and harder to kind of find these audiences cross screens and develop a really effective screen strategy. This partnership with Samba is designed to address that challenge and maximize the addressability of your audience while watching 10 Play. So because of this, we are the only publisher to partner with Samba, which means we can combine our ad product and this unique data. So it enables us to engage with audiences in really different ways, especially when we're using that data to determine how they want to be engaged with. It just means that overall, your buy with 10 can be a lot more effective, as we can target people who are viewing TV across all networks, not just 10. So we can look at people who are viewing The Block on 9, who are viewing Alone on SBS, who are viewing Disney, Netflix, who are viewing across PS5 and Xbox, and retarget them via 10 Play, which is really, really exciting. So if we look at how we can probably do this, because it's a lot of data and a lot of information that has to come together. So these are just some thought starters on kind of the different outcomes that we might try to reach through this method. So one being maximizing reach, minimizing wastage. So this might be that you want to actively target audiences that aren't or haven't been exposed to your linear activity, and then target them on 10 Play. So it allows us to extend the reach of your TV campaign and really make sure that you're getting as much as possible out of it. The second is about infiltrating competitor activity. So this is where we can conquest something that's really, really exciting. So for example, if you don't have the budgets to sponsor a program, or want to be active in a time where competitors are really, really active in market, so you want to make sure that you're spending really efficiently, we can capitalize on this investment and target people who've seen competitor ads with a proof point of why they should choose your brand instead, essentially. And then the third being drive consideration. So this is where we can actively re-engage audiences that we know have been exposed to brand activity with a message designed to drive that consideration, or potentially even go on to drive purchase further down the funnel as well. Awesome. And then second up, a partnership with Curve. This allows us to leverage their data-driven technology to optimize a brand's creative message. So Smart Snap, this is a really unique ad proposition that is based on the behaviors that we know viewers are engaging in. So that is second screening. We know that when people are viewing at home, they more than likely have their phone out while they're watching. So Smart Snap is an in-stream video asset that embeds a dynamic QR code within an existing TVC, and then also adds a custom static end frame. So the reason why is, as I said, to capitalize on that ingrained behavior of second screening and drive action through that second screen. So the way this works is that it's an interactive experience. It connects viewers intuitively with patented technology that recognizes what's going on in the TVC in real time to create dynamic variations, optimizing the creative and the QR destination. So for example, if your TVC is talking about a key feature of the car, at that point, you might be able to scan through and see, what are the safety features, what are the navigation features, etc. So making this TVC really, really interactive for our viewers. And then dynamic video. So dynamic video is very much about creating more value from every impression. We know that creative is often expensive to produce, can often be produced by global, might not be entirely relevant for every message and moment in which we really want to activate. So dynamic video is all about real-time creative optimization that increases the value of that creative. It can increase the value of campaign reporting. And in addition, it increases your return on investment. So it can make one TVC work really hard for a number of different audience segments and with a number of different messages at any given time. So in this next example from Taco Bell in the States, This is where we see different messaging and a different scan through based on time of day. So this is one example of the type of data that we can leverage in dynamic video. So for example, if it's the morning, we'll see a breakfast message. If it's afternoon, it's do you need a quick lunch? And if it's evening, it's all about those late night cravings. So this is one TVC where we kind of remove the heavy lifting and make it really, really relevant for any time of day through dynamic video. And I appreciate this is a lot of information on one slide, but these are just some examples of the incredible data points which we can leverage in these types of executions. So whether that's Paramount's own metadata or linked with your advertiser API, we can also underpin that, of course, with our partnerships with Smarter, with Flybuys, and with Samba TV. So as I said, we can get, needle point granular, or we can go much broader. There's just a wealth of ways in which we can make your TVCs work a lot harder for you, which is really, really exciting. And then finally, our partnership with Innovid. So this is a partnership that extends our existing relationship based in the US to Australia, and Innovid partner our interactive and advanced TV solutions. So again, this is all about making your TVC work harder for you. Some really cost-effective ways to create more impactful ad experiences on 10 Play. So our suite of premium products called Brand Boost aim to drive further awareness and impact from the TVC. So whether that be with the frame, which maximizes your brand presence and really ensures that your brand is taking center stage. Basically, that fills up the screen with your TVC playing in one corner, whether it's brand pops, which are a call to action, animated and overlaid over your TVC, or even an impact card, which again highlights key brand messaging to increase time spent with the brand through that impactful canvas that you can see there. So again, all about making sure that your TVCs are working harder for you and can relay kind of seasonal and time sensitive information without having to actually change your creative. And then next up is Ad Selector. So this one is really, really exciting. And we do see that the average time earned, the average engagement is so impressive when we utilize this asset. So Ad Selector is essentially allowing the user to control their own ad experience. It's an overlay over your video, which allows a user to go and explore more content. So whether that's, with the Seagrams, looking at different recipes, looking at social content. It's a great way to kind of test and learn and see what content is engaging your audiences. Or if you have a suite of TVCs that are running at the same time, you can allow people to choose your own adventure. So a really exciting way of kind of engaging with audiences and allowing them to get to choose how they're engaging with your brand as well. And then last up for this section, I just wanted to take you through an example of how this can come to life and how are we actually using these assets to drive meaningful outcomes for your clients. So this is an auto example looking at Hunted, which was one of our biggest shows of last year, and it's back in July, just so you know. So looking at an auto example of a brand who sponsors Hunted, they wanted to activate an integrated multi-screen partnership designed to showcase the vehicle in program, looking to drive consideration. But they also wanted to deepen their understanding of their existing customers to help find new ones through a customer data match. So it's really about understanding the overlap between existing customers and the 10 Play audience, and also unlocking deeper insights from our second-party data vendors. So first up, awareness was a key objective, and that was with high impact integration, that strategic ad placement, and supported by a targeting strategy and brand boost to increase time spent with the brand. Second is engagement. So they activated an integrated watch and win in programs. So it's a massive consumer promotion that is supported by marketing, lives in show across Twitter, and also an ad selector. So this is where we can create a product gallery for viewers to choose from. Again, spend a bit more time with the brand, engage with the brand, and get to see what their options are. And then finally, action. So this is where we use dynamic video with a QR code, delivering messages to new customers and all customers ready to upgrade and update their vehicles. And this is where it can get almost a little bit too freaky with data for my liking. So this is where we can literally personalize to the level of, Emma, it's time to upgrade your 2007 Mazda to a brand new Volvo. So we can get really, really granular and really exciting here. And then the great thing is that you can go on and measure this through sponsorship effectiveness, through a brand lift study, and through all of those deterministic data points that we then collect from these digital activations as well. So as I said, please reach out if you have any questions on that, because that's obviously a very condensed version of all of our digital insight. But we'll be very happy to answer any questions if you flick them through afterwards. And then finally, probably my favorite part of working at Paramount is around how we can build deeper partnerships with brands. And because we do have such a suite of IP that really makes and marks culture, it's a really exciting kind of way to leverage our cultural currency for brands. So we can partner really differently, allowing brands to leverage our IP beyond media. We can drive fame through restoring characters to the big screen or exploring in broader initiatives. So really, first off, is kind of the power of nostalgia. So we can revisit audience favorites, like for example, SpongeBob, which is celebrating its 25 years and has launched an ocean saving initiative. Garfield, which actually has a new a new movie launching next year, I believe. And Garfield apparently over-indexes in Australia. Who knew? We are far above the benchmark when it comes to Garfield fans worldwide. Then, of course, there's our big celebrations. So things like 10 years of Paw Patrol, or the launch of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, or our international blockbusters. So we can leverage any of these kind of formats for brands to create those deeper partnerships that go beyond what is on screen. Something that is really exciting was, coming across the fact that we do have access to the IP for Emily in Paris, when, yes, it might be on Netflix, but we are the ones who produce it. So there is just such a wealth of really fan-driven content that we can unlock for brands to use off screen as well. So I guess importantly, how do we do this? So obviously we kind of have access to things like consumer products. So this is licensing, merchandising, retail. A great example there, Primo, who partnered with Paw Patrol and distributed in over 900 Woolworths stores Australia-wide. And then we obviously have had success with Pizza Hut, MTV, with Cotton On. So there's a range of ways in which we can partner with brands which are really cost effective and allow your brands to work with ours and to work harder for each other. The Paramount Plus obviously is still fairly new in the Australian market, but is continually growing. And I don't know if any of you might have seen this, but the Origin partnership with Paramount Plus is particularly exciting, and allows Paramount Plus to reach any new Origin signups, which is, absolutely fantastic, but no extra cost. And then finally, marketing and distribution when it comes to Paramount Plus. So we also have a partnership with Qantas, in which in-flight, domestic and internationally, any passengers have access to the whole Paramount Plus suite of content. And events and activations is something that's really exciting to be able to get back to as well after so many years of, not having the scope for these types of activities. Obviously with MTV being a key part of our Paramount Playground, the wealth of opportunity to create events and activations is absolutely so exciting. Now, if we go a little bit further into Paramount Plus, this is obviously, as I said, a really growing part of the business for us. It is the fastest growing streaming service in Australia. So subscribers have climbed from 50,000 to over 1.1 million in the space of a year. So it's a far faster growth rate than our competitors, and a great brand to partner with. So it allows audiences to reach a really hard to find audience, whether that be, through commercial executions, so sponsoring sport on Paramount Plus, whether that be, as I said, with Origin in acquisition, so getting 12 months of Paramount Plus included on our internet plans, or through marketing and distribution, as I mentioned, with Qantas. So there are a wealth of ways in which we can partner differently, which is really, really exciting. So just to recap, we're just bang on time. So I'll hand over to Smitty.
Thanks, Sam. Look, quickly just to recap, I mean, obviously Gareth took us through the understanding this science of sponsorship, which all about trying to get your clients' brands closer to our programming and really sort of form ways of better engagement. And I think based on engagement, looking at the attendees on this presentation, I think we've managed to hold them, which looks fantastic. Leveraging the digital innovation, obviously bucket loads of information there, guys. So please reach out to us all and we can help navigate through what it is that might be there to look at. And I think, way to build deeper partnerships and leverage beyond just the 30-second spot, looking at our activations and our IP and licensing are all fantastic ways to sort of better work with us. So we've told you about the what, it's really about the how. Look, it's really the best way to suggest we work with you is that doesn't even have to be a brief. It's something to really sort of lean on us to come and have a open discussion, and we can help try and find some ways to sort of navigate through these solutions for you. So please reach out. We hope you found the presentation engaging, and we hope to hear from you soon.
Thank you so much, guys. It was a very good session. It was really informative and really engaging. So it's been good.
Thank you.
If there are any questions for the team, please just feel free to reach out to me, and then I can get you guys in touch with Paramount. But thank you everyone for joining today. Have a lovely rest of the day, and we'll see you next week.
Great. Thanks again, guys. See you later.
Bye.